Welcome to The Collective. My name is Deborah Dietrich, Director of Education for Muse Beauty. We create these inspiring interviews with iconic industry artists to help support you on your career path. Because once you graduate, we know that you have so many different genres to choose from. We bring these conversations to you to help you muddle through all of the different challenges, questions, and super secret things that you want to know about what's happening in the industry. So we have today with us, I'm thrilled, Dean Banowetz. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Yeah, we're very, very happy to have you. You know, Dean, before we get started, what I'd like to do is read your bio.
Oh, okay, great.
And then some of those questions that we ask will probably come up from the bio that we read, okay? And I'm just going to read it. I didn't memorize it, okay?
It's all you're great.
Okay. Known as a Hollywood hair guy with good reason, Dean Banowetz is a two-time Emmy-nominated locks wizard behind the celebrity staples like Taylor Swift, Katy Perry, Britney Spears, Lisa Gibbons, Simon Caldwell, Jennifer Hudson, Dana Devon, and Kelly Clarkson, to name a few. I'm sure that you have many more to be added to this list. I know you do. Dean is 13th of 15 children, born and raised on a farm in Iowa, and a decorated veteran of the U.S. Army. Thank you for your service, by the way.
You are welcome.
He moved to Los Angeles from Iowa in 2000 and started working on a television show, Extra. After his contract with Extra was up, he moved on to American Idol as department head for hair. Okay, Dean, I want to again thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. I have so many questions, and you and I both came from the roots of the center of the universe, right? So, I mean, I'm from Montana, so I can totally relate. I have so many questions, and I'm sure that the students will have lots of questions as well. So, I want to start out with, what would you consider to be your main genre in terms of the industry? I know you used to own salons or worked in salons.
Yeah, I own 3 different salons in Iowa, Illinois. And my main genre here in Los Angeles, and I guess I should preface it because, when I went to beauty school, I didn't really know anything about entertainment hair. I didn't realize there was a whole avenue for TV, film, stage, and fashion, because that's just not what we talked about in beauty school, because
Right.
the primary, gig is to get you to pass your state board and be licensed. So
Exactly.
that main genre for me was to be a salon owner and a stylist. But
Mhm.
here in Los Angeles, my main focus is live TV, live events, specialty. We all like to call it any glossy floor show, because
Exactly.
it's, and you'll never look at TV the same. If you see a glossy floor, I have probably done that show.
Glossy floor and tan skin, right?
Yes, so much tan
Lots,
skin,
yeah, lots of glow. Okay.
lots of glow.
Okay, so primarily, and I think back in the day when people went to beauty school, I don't even think they had opportunities like this. I mean,
Right.
I'm in the union. I never even knew there was such a thing. So I think it's
Right.
great. Um, so how did you get from Iowa to LA?
Iowa to LA, because in my salon, I would always do some goal reviews. We got some sirens going on. I would always do goal reviews with my employees. And, one of my employees, we figured out her goal for the next 6 months. And she was like, well, what are your goals? And to be honest, my goal was to just put all my money back into the salon and keep it moving and keep it open and all the things that we do when we own a
Right,
salon.
right.
And I had gone through art education and art history. I had my 2-year degree, and I just kind of was at a crossroad, and I wanted to do something different, but I really didn't know. And so I reached out to my brother Leon, who's number 12. There's 15, I'm 13. We go by numbers all the time. And I was like, I feel like I'm at a crossroad and I don't really know what to do. And he was the one who told me to do hair. And so when I started to do hair, so many different opportunities came open. But this employee was like, well, what are your goals? And I always wanted to do hair for TV and film, but realistically, I lived in the middle of a cornfield in Iowa.
Mhm.
And I took accountability for that goal, and I gave myself a deadline. I reached out to industry professionals and I was like, hey, if you guys ever hear of a place that teaches you how to do hair for TV and film, please let me know. And lo and behold, somebody sent me a newspaper clipping in the mail. And I reached out. I went to this week-long program in Los Angeles, and it was great. I really didn't anticipate moving to LA, but the woman who taught this class gave my name to a bunch of different production companies, and Extra was one of them.
Mhm.
I didn't realize she was going to be doing that. And I reached out and I was like, are you giving my name to people? And she was like, absolutely. You need to live in LA. And I was like, you need to leave me alone because you're starting to freak me out. And she goes, just apply for one job. And I think there were 4 or 5 that had come in. And so I sent my resume to the television show Extra, and I faxed it, and they literally called me 5 minutes later and offered me an interview. So I flew out, did the interview. I think I beat like 70 other people from Los Angeles who were applying for this position, and I had no clue what I was doing. I just knew I wanted to do hair, and I'm a great listener. And so I finished my interview and everything in LA and came back home. And 3 days later, they offered me the job as the hair supervisor on the television show Extra. And so I'm always like, you never know who you're going to meet and how
Mhm.
they can really change the trajectory of your career and your life. And
Yeah.
so in 2000, I moved out and I started working.
So did you still keep your did you then keep your salons and for a while and then or how, several 3 questions I have about
Yeah.
that answer you just gave. So did you keep your salons or did you then
I kept my salons for about 6 months, and I was
yeah
flying back and forth every other week, and it just got to be too much. And then part of the roles and responsibilities at Extra is I did all the red carpet, and they happen on the weekends. So then I was like, you know what? I think I need to tie up this bow area in Iowa in a nice little package and sell my salon. And once I kind of closed those ties, my career in LA just really kind of took off because I could dedicate more time and energy here.
right, right. Did you thank your employee that asked you that question? What are your goals? Did you thank them?
I thank her all the time, and she thinks I'm super psychic that I made it happen in about less than 6 months. So,
That's is crazy. I also probably know who you're talking about as far as who you took your training from because she was kind of the only game in town at that point.
correct.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also I think a lesson for students is you always got to be nice to people. You always have to never burn a bridge because you just never know where that next referral might come from. Agree? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, who's been the most influential mentor in your life and why? That's always a question we ask because people just want to know.
Well, I look at this question very artistically because I have my art education, art history degree, and I was always really drawn to two artists. Georgia O'Keeffe, number one, for her beautiful flower work, and when you look at her work, you can see the movement of
Mhm.
the flowers, and they're very lifelike and very beautiful and colorful. And the other one is Gutzon Borglum, who is a sculptor who, you know, Crazy Horse was one of his favorites, but he's done so many sculptures in different mediums. And I've always been drawn to use my hands. Uh,
Mhm.
my main focus in school was wire sculpture and sculpture, clay sculpture and ceramics and those sorts of things because my mom would always say, if you are bored or you're feeling down and blue, you have to get busy and exercise your mind. In
Mhm.
anything, any mindless activity where you can work with your hands and you can be creative in that thought process. And it has been, I use it all the time.
It has served you well.
Served me so well because I'm like, ooh, I'm kind of feeling that little, boredom or kind of indecisive direction. And I always get busy and do something. And those two, George O'Keeffe and Gutzon Borglum, by
Mhm.
far gave me so much influence in the art world.
That's amazing. And I think it was in November, went to the George O'Keeffe exhibit down in, I think it's in Albuquerque, is that where it
Yeah,
is? Yeah, yeah, it was amazing. I want to
unbelievable.
go, I want to go horseback riding on the ranch.
Oh, well, and that's the other thing about life. They lived a life that was surrounded by beauty. And so I'm constantly like, exploring, unique places in the world and just really taking advantage of the beauty of the world and the culture and everything else around us.
Mhm. And aren't we so lucky that we get to do those things?
So
Yeah,
lucky.
yeah. Working in the film industry, now, we supply makeup kits to to schools, and I'm a hairdresser and a makeup artist, and um, I know that there's only 6 degrees of separation. So a lot of the questions I'll be asking,
Yes.
whether you want to be a hairdresser or a makeup artist, all rules apply, especially when it comes to the kind of work that Dean is doing and union, etc. So work in the film industry with either hair or makeup, what do you see as the most important qualities in both skill and personality?
Well, I do get this question a lot as well because when people are like, "Well, what do you look for in an assistant?" or "What do you look for?" And my core answer is if you have a license, I know you know how to do hair. It's the other skills that are really difficult to teach. The soft skills of having empathy or just being able to listen and quiet your mind and actually to do that investigative research because I took a little something from one of my clients who was going to med school and I was overwhelmed when she was telling me the stuff that she would have to do and I go, how do you memorize everything? And she goes, Dean, all you have to do is listen. People tell you what's wrong with them. People will tell you if you listen. And I'm a great listener. And so it's about being able to take that information and categorize it into priority levels and do that in a way where it's seamless and nobody knows what it's doing,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. It's
Yes,
like
it does.
I work in live TV and I can't be a ball of chaos. I have to be the calm
Exactly.
before the storm. And so I know you know how to do hair. And if we're working on a specific hairstyle or makeup look, guess what? All we do is practice. I pull out a doll head and I work on it until
Love
I perfect
that.
it. I perfect it. I perfect it because once we're go time, we only get one opportunity to make a really awesome impression on everyone.
Hmm.
And so I always take those into consideration. You got to be a great listener. You got to have those soft skills of empathy and just understanding. Imagine if you're an artist and you have 30 pages of dialogue you have to remember every single day. And you have a production of 200 people that are literally counting on you.
Hmm.
And production is investing a lot of money in you because you can perform. And
Hmm.
so that's a lot of pressure and a lot of stress for talent. And so sometimes you just need to be quiet
Hmm.
and listen because they don't want a lot of that chatter going on. And it is, again, those soft skills that make a big, big difference.
And you also, I'm sure, you didn't say it, but I'm assuming that you do, you have to be a body language reader as well, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
And you know, and once you tune in and you clue into those body language moments, it's
Mm-hmm.
like reading a book. It's
Mm-hmm.
so obvious and planned,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, people process stress differently, and it usually is expressed in their body.
Yeah, and it's kind of something where you can't unknow it. Once you see it, once you know it, you can't unsee it. That's what
You
it is.
cannot,
Okay, what is your process for staying ahead of beauty trends?
right?
Um, and I know that you continue your advanced education yourself because I saw the fabulous wig class that you went to that is just made my heart sing. I mean, how do you stay on top of that? Do you just like make stuff up all the time, or is there a system that is in place?
I definitely have a system. You
Okay.
know, I actively pay attention. I pay attention to social media. You know, when I first moved here, before social media was really big, I would hang out on Melrose and Venice Beach and just observe people. And, you know, because it is, you know, people from all over the world are here. And you take
Mhm.
those influences from maybe culture, or, you know, I would always see some hip hop dancers down on Melrose, and they always express so much style. And I was like, oh, the hair is kind of crazy, but you know what? I really love how that left temple is that movement. And you pull and you piece things together. And I always do watch, you know, things change every season. And we look at brands and, you know, focus for textiles. Like if there's a hot color that's coming out, all of those things are really important. But for me personally, also, I try to just elevate my skill level by taking at least 2 or 3 major um, pieces of education a year. And what you were talking about was in January, I went to the UK with Tam Walsh, who teaches hard cap wig making. And it was a 5-day intense course. And it was a huge investment of money, but it was so worth it because I took away so many things from just that one week and being in a different environment in terms of there were people that worked on Bridgerton in this class. And these are all, you know, shows that are shot across, you know, the ocean. And so we never really
Exactly.
get to hang with those people. And
Mhm.
there were people, you know, that were there from, you know, that had worked on Downton Abbey and Harry Potter, and they were obsessed that I was working on reality. So I never diminished what I do, but I was like, whoa, Bridgerton, let's have a conversation because
Yeah,
you
exactly,
know, I mean,
right?
I voted for them for the Emmys and for the awards
Mhm.
because their quality work is so amazing, and to just really be mindful of everything that's happening in your genre too.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
I
it
think
just
that's
helped me.
great. And what, so did you have a blast? I mean, I'm sure you did.
I had the best time. It started every day at 9 a.m. or 9:30. I always got there at 9 a.m. We were done at 5. I never left until after 6 because I am that um helper, if you will, because I know how it is to put a class together. I know all the things that go in to putting this on. So I'm like, in the morning I would help organize, in the evening I would help clean up, sweep, and no one's going to turn down a sweeper. If someone who wants to run a broom, yes, please.
Yes,
And you know, I think I mean, I definitely was brought up that way with a family of 15. If you see something that needs to be done and you can do it, do it.
good.
Don't be asked to do it, just do it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's great. I love seeing all the images, and of course I follow her anyway, but just it was
It was
really,
great.
really cool. Yeah, very cool. Okay, so then so now how important do you think social media is as far as building your brand, and what tips can you give in marketing yourself to an entry-level student, a student that is maybe three-quarters of the way through beauty school and they don't want to sit in on the same artist that they've seen once, or they'll do style and do it once and they've done that, so they don't need to redo it. And I know that you know what I'm not saying, but what do you say and what do you recommend social media wise for new people?
Well, first of all, you have to archive all your work, whether you think it's good or bad, because if you think it's bad to you, somebody else might think it's the most amazing. And guess what? In a year, you'll have more great work and you can edit out some of the stuff from your past, but always archive it. And the thing too that really helped me when I moved to LA, because come on, I was from a tiny little town in Iowa. And I quickly learned you have to figure out what it is that makes you special. And
Love
and
that.
I don't want to say it lightly because we all have our own story. And
Mhm.
that's what identifies us. You know, when I remember when I auditioned for a show, they were like, "Well, what makes you think you're so special?" And I was like, "Well, I'm a decorative veteran. I've been doing hair for 30 years. I was born and raised on a farm. So that means I can kick your butt, milk your cow, and do your hair. That makes me special." And the second I said it out loud, I was like, because growing up, I kind of didn't really love being from a massive family. I love it now. It makes
Mhm.
me who I am, but it's also my story. And nobody
Mhm.
can take that story away from you. But until you take ownership of it and you know who you are, that's the first one in your marketing strategy. But the other thing that I always talk about, if you are drawn to something, like let's finger waves. Let's say, you know what, I really love, I just don't know how to do it. Research, practice, and perfect it. You can't just do a style once and be an expert at it. So
Yep.
many times people are like, oh, I read a story about it. You have to actively work on it. And when we talk about social media, my biggest pet peeve is when I look at somebody's Instagram and it's just head after face, and I don't see any of them. I want to see the artist working because
Love
there's
that.
there's something that is so personal about that, but it also shows you doing the work.
Hmm.
We're in a day and an age where people will utilize other people's work and put it as their own, and the best way to counter that is to get some BTS, behind the scenes footage of you working and you doing the work, because that has so much more value to me when I'm looking at social media than just scrolling through bridal dues after one after another. And I just want to see you working. I want to see your hands on the face doing makeup. I
Yeah.
want to see your hands in the hair, manipulating and really altering that shape and silhouette. And then of course, show the final work. But you working, I think, is just as important, if not more, than the final piece.
I think that's great, and I think that's great advice. That's really great advice. I know that you give students opportunities at times that are rarely given, and you and I both know what that means to a student sometimes. When students are given these opportunities, either with hair or makeup, um, what are your one or two must-dos or absolutes that you got 10 students that want to join you and you get to choose four. I don't know if you ever do it that way, but you choose four. What are your absolutes? How do you vet them? Or do you just take them all and let them,
Well,
yeah.
the best, if I have, if I'm doing something and I have five people who I'm going to be kind of mentoring, or they are given an opportunity to go on the set with me, it's very interesting because people will usually edit themselves out of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is it's very specific. When you have someone, and it could be easily nervous energy, but when you have a yes person, it drives me nuts because as you're explaining, yeah, 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 sure, sure, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was like, no, 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 just breathe. Take it in and listen. And you're not expected to know any of this, but when you respond that way, you're acting as if you already know it, out of nervousness.
Mhm.
That makes sense. And so the ones that really stick out to me, and I say it quite a bit, if you want to stick out in any industry, go the extra mile because it is never crowded. Very few people
I love that.
go will
Yeah.
go above and beyond. You know,
Mhm.
I like to under promise and overperform because I
Yeah.
want to make sure that I get the bare minimum done that we've discussed and that you are anticipating. But if I can do more and I can elevate that experience and really take your expectations to the next level, I have won. And I see that so many times with students who show up early and they stay late and they are like, how can I help? And I
Yeah.
do it on set. If somebody's doing something on set that I haven't done, I turn into an assistant. I go, do you need
Mhm.
help with this? And if they say no, I go, okay, I'm just going to stand by if you need pins. Do you need a cup of coffee? I can go to craft service and grab you a snack if you need a snack, but you're not going to get rid of me because what you're doing is feeding my soul and I want to support you in any way that I can. And when someone approaches work and their career and that modality, you're just like, whoa,
Yeah.
yes, you're probably going to be hiring me for a job soon.
Hmm. That's like when I think when it was a Hunger Games, when they did Hunger Games in the Carolinas, there were several students that worked with V. Neil and other people, and they were just behind the scenes, and they ended up taking a handful of those people with them to New York. I mean, it's like an opportunity that you got to be careful when that comes, and you got to keep your ears and eyes open because it doesn't happen very often. But I thought it was pretty amazing. That was great for those students that took it serious, right?
Correct. Because I was one of the hair supervisors on Hunger Games for Catching Fire. And we had, we shot in Atlanta, which is a right to work state. So there were non-union people there
Yeah.
of all kinds. And I remember one of my really close friends and mentor, Anne Bray. I was
Mhm.
like, Anne, you're so close. Bring some of the things you've worked on, and I will personally show Linda Flowers, the department head, and I'm sure she would love to utilize your talent. And sure enough, she made a rose Effie wig, and it was just when opportunities like that can happen, and I am a firm believer nothing is by accident.
Yeah,
Everything
exactly.
happens for a reason, and there was a reason that connection was made.
I think that's great. Okay. So, leaning into that same question, what are missteps that students might not be aware of coming onto a set or a project when that professional opportunity is given? And this could be great advice for someone to hear right now, and just log it because are there any things that would be a misstep? Like you have
Oh,
this opportunity and
yeah, sometimes well, not sometimes, most of the time, and I say it to myself, sometimes you have to get out of your own way.
okay.
And you do your due diligence, and for example, right before I got on this with you, one
Mhm.
of the one of these one a student that took one of my classes goes, you know what, I got an opportunity to work on a show. Do you mind if I send you the contract and just take a look at it? Because I've looked at it. I have some, and I tell people when you're looking at a contract and you get a little pang, you get a little red flag, put a post-it note on it and come back to it. Don't obsess about it. Move on, keep reading. And so when she sent it to me, I'm like, I have my index card. I'm going to go through it. Here's some deal points because she has an interview tomorrow.
Mhm.
And the thing is she took the step ahead so she could be more prepared.
Yeah, and I think
She was
that's
like,
great.
would you ever do that? Would you read this contract? I go, absolutely. Anything to help you thrive, I'm all for it. But if you go in to that interview with a massive ego, you're not going to get the job. If you
Mhm.
come in armed with questions that are valid, that are not outrageous,
Mhm.
and they're very conscientious, the person who's doing that interview, the production manager, line producer, exec in charge of production, whoever it is going to be like, oh wow, they've done their due
They've
diligence.
done their homework, yeah.
100%. And a lot of times, like for me, I was so lucky with Extra. It was a non-union gig, and I had some really great mentors. The makeup artist took me under his wing, and he was like, "All right, this is how things are done," because I just didn't know, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, and when an opportunity is presented, I never say no. I say, "I'd love to hear more about it."
Mm-hmm.
Because even if I think, I really won't be interested in doing that. I don't want to just cast it away. I want to take a look at it because you know what? It might be an educational opportunity for myself. And
Mm-hmm.
there's been many times I've done and still do free work because of the experience.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
And when you go into an environment with an open mind of learning and meeting new people, it's key. And
Mm-hmm.
I talk about my mom all the time because she was definitely the biggest mentor for me. But she would she gave me this advice in the army because within 3 seconds of being on Fort Sill, Oklahoma, I was like, I think I made a wrong decision. And and I called her and I go, Mom, I don't think this is the place for me. And she goes, it is the place for you because you signed that contract. It's your responsibility, but I'm going to tell you a couple of things. You can make this the best tour of duty of your life or the absolute worst, and it is 100% on you. And she goes, if you want to make it a good experience, you really only have to do two things. You need to show up because many people don't show up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when you show up, you have to participate. If you show up and you don't participate, you're just sucking the energy out of the room. You're creating a lot of negativity. But when you show up and you participate, amazing things are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, I need to lean into this. But it's so true.
Mm-hmm.
It is so true. Show up, participate, and be happy about it. Nobody wants doom and gloom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have a lot of it on set. We have a lot of it in every job.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree.
even if you're having an off day, yeah, guess what? We all do. But you know what? It's still sunny outside. It's still a beautiful day, and you are
And you
here.
still and you still have a job.
Yeah, and you're here.
Yeah, exactly. And so that is, I loved that you said that about the makeup artist took you under the wing. And
Yes,
I love that because it really is I've worked mine isn't live television, but it was episodic and film. And I can tell you that there are so many times that they don't get along. It's so beautiful when you have people that are just, you're new, you're not union, and you go in there and this person just wanted to help you so much. That's really, really great. And it also is how you enter, don't you think? It's how you decide to show your face to them as
sure.
well. You didn't go in all crazy, you know?
And you're just, willing to help.
Hmm.
Everybody loves a helper
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I've swept many floors, many times. I still do.
all the time.
All the time, right? Okay. You have classes
Yes,
because back when you started, there was only like one person really doing classes.
right.
And I know that there are these little pop-ups that happen, but can you tell me more about your classes? That's the first question.
Okay.
Who should take your classes? Like, can a student in school take your class? Do they have to have a license? And how experienced do they need to be to attend? And I know all of that is subjective, but
Right.
answer the best you can.
Well, back in I gosh, it was probably 2015. I really wanted to create a Hollywood hair guy training academy, and everything happens when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And so many things happened in my life that really needed that attention. It kind of kept getting pushed off. And so 3 years ago, I decided to change some things, and I started to do my due diligence because you can't just dream it happening. You have to actively participate and put some ground things together.
Mhm.
So I got my financing in order and everything else that I needed to make this happen. And it's the Universal Live Work Lofts. And so I'm right next to Universal Studios. I'm like literally a 5 minute walk to City Walk. And I've always been really attracted to this area. And so I'm in a 4-story live work loft, and the first 3 levels, I'm on level 3, which is my office. But level 1 is a classroom and and my private salon where I can do people from shows or private clients. And the second level is a whole academy space as well. And we put together a bunch of different courses. We have Set Hair 101 and 102. And these are so many things that I did not know going in to do it to work. I mean, my first job at Extra was the first time I was on a sound stage. And I didn't, I'm from the Army. So I'm like, who's the chain of command? Who's the boss? What do they do? What's their role or responsibility? Terms. I don't know anything about these terms. Like, the first time they said the honey wagon's here, I was like, why do we need so much honey that it's in a wagon? They're like, no, it's the bathrooms. I go, check. I will never make that mistake again. But we talk about all of those different things. And, this is the in-person class is the 101. And then we cover wig wraps and how to measure somebody's head for a wig and all of these things that I literally on set would be eye hustling. I'd be like, what are they doing over there? Because I need to figure it out. And there weren't a lot of classes.
Right.
So we have Set Hair 101 and 102. So that's if you want to work in the entertainment world of hair, TV, film, stage, fashion. Those are universal things that you're going to be utilizing in every one of those genres. But then we wanted to also have some fun. So we have a drag hairstyling class. And anyone can come to it. You don't have to be licensed. I don't if you're intrigued by drag and you want to learn how to do a drag wig, you're welcome. And you can be a student. That it doesn't matter your level. For 101 and 102, we want you to be a hairdresser so you understand the process. But if you're still in school, we've had some students that were in school that would come for a 3-day boot camp and they were loving it. And then we also, I have a book that I wrote called The Dean's List of Daddy Do's, which is a self-help step-by-step guide for dads to do their kids' hair. And we do daddy-daughter styling classes, which is hilarious. And so, of course, you don't need to be a hairdresser for that. But I also have 2 courses that I have online on my website. And one of them is breaking into the Hollywood beauty biz. And I love talking about this because you can take it anywhere in the world. You sign up, you get this course, but it's also talking about your career roadmap. You're talking about the opportunities that are available, what kind of opportunity you're looking at, what location you want to be in, your specialty skills, and then also your own personal life. I mean, do you have a family? Do you want to travel? All of those categories, but we talk about what it means to be in the union versus non-union, agency 411, like how do I get an agent? I go, well, let's talk about why you need an agent or what that process is. But we help understand production hierarchy. Because I want to know who's the one that's going to hire me. All of those things I think they're really important. And how do you put your kit together, pitfalls to avoid, when you get stuck. And so that one's online, as well as I did next level hair sheets, because when I work on shows, hair sheets is probably one of the standard things I use. I can use them as filler. I can use them as decorative. Anything you can do with paper, you can do with a hair sheet. And so I have those 2 online, and it has been going really great. And we will not take any more than 8 people in a class.
That's great. I love that.
No more. And Tam Walsh, who we were talking about,
Yeah.
I'm hosting her here at my loft in August.
Oh,
And
you are?
she goes, can I please, can we fit 10? And I go, for you, I'll find a place for 2 others, but we'll work, because I want to make sure that I've been to so many classes where there's 50 people and you feel a little lost.
Exactly.
And hair and makeup people, we're very visual and we're people. We're people. So
Mhm.
I want to have, that's why I love Sharon Blaine's classes too, because I love, and Sharon is one of my dearest friends. And I love that I could right now give her a call and go, hey, Sharon, I'm working on something. Can we troubleshoot something together? And she was like, yes, absolutely. What's going on? And she's called me for the same thing.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
I
that's
love,
so cool.
and I love that because when you're in that intimate environment of education, I want to make sure that when you leave the class, every single person knows exactly what I wanted to teach them.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
so that's, and it's been super exciting. And, we have, a lot of things planned for the future, but if anybody's interested, if you go on my website, hollywoodhairguy.com, there's a whole course uh, button in the menu, and you can sign up for my emails, because that's also a way for me to connect with like-minded people. So
Mhm.
if I'm working on a project, like when I did the opening for the AMAs for Katy Perry, I
Right.
reach out to people because I have to build a team, and
Mhm.
it's non-union, so I can use whoever I want.
Yeah, which is great.
Same thing when I did Taylor Swift's opening for the Grammys, when we're working on all the dancers and the crew and it's a great way for me to reach out to the people who want to do what I do for
Mhm.
different opportunities that come sometimes once in a lifetime.
Exactly. And also that's a shared collaboration, I think. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what I love what I love how you've been speaking and listening to you. I love the fact that this is personal. It's no nonsense. It's your life. It's your story. It's what you bring to the table, but it's also very encompassing with both hair and makeup, which I love. It has
Yes.
to do with it has to do with who you are and how you show up versus, you know, versus not, I guess. I really like that. So what we do know is we know a little bit more about Dean. I want to ask him one more question, and it is a question I always ask very creative people. Do you know who Susie Chadwick is or was? Did you know the Chadwicks, John and Suzanne
Yeah.
Chadwick? Okay,
Yes, I remember.
yeah. She was a dear, dear friend of mine. And one of the things that we always used to talk about was creative block. And I know that everyone deals with creative block differently. And this is a high functioning question because a lot of times we don't even get to even have a space to even analyze what that is. But do you have advice for someone who is in the middle of a project or getting started a project? What do you do? And maybe that's a better question. What do you do when you have creative block?
All right, are you ready for this?
I am ready.
Because I have a whole formula, and
Oh, good. I should
I'll
write it
use
down.
I'll use So You Think You Can Dance as kind of an example. You know, hair, makeup, and wardrobe. I have I'm bummed because it moved to Atlanta this year with a whole new team. But hair, makeup, and wardrobe. I have never worked on a show with a tighter group of three people.
That's amazing.
And it is essential for the collaboration of any look for people to get along and check their egos and step aside. And
Mhm.
so one of the creatives we received, and this was going to be for a group number, the creative director was like, imagine Galliano and Alexander McQueen having lunch at a sidewalk cafe in Paris. What does that even mean? Do you know what I mean? It's like I was zero. I had no idea, because I know that these two designers do not like matchy matchy. So I have an 80-20 rule. As long as I am 80% happy with my creative, I will bend on 10% for makeup and 10% for wardrobe. And
Mhm.
the first thing I do is I go to the wardrobe, because their concepts are much more advanced, because they have to start building
Right.
complete collections. And
Mhm.
I go, what do you guys have in mind for the wardrobe? And my only question is shoulders up. What is the neckline going to be? And they go, oh, we want to do these really high lace collars. I'm like, awesome. Directive number one, hair goes up. Then I go to makeup. I go, what are you going to do? And she goes, I have these really beautiful lace appliques over the eyes. And I go, okay, directive number two, hair has to go up. And number three, I am not using anything lace because these designers are not matchy-matchy. And then I had a starting point, because once you know the direction that the hair all has to live here, and then I go back to wardrobe, I go, any hats? And they go, we have 2 hats. I go, awesome, good to know. She goes, but they're kind of see-through, so we'll be able to see your hair. I go, even better. Yeah. And so that's how I start to strategize just my mental focus, because when you get overwhelmed with the unknown or fear, it will stifle your growth.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the best way to overcome that fear is to speak up and ask questions, because the other thing so many people don't understand, and I say this to every student too, when I'm doing my lectures, I go, if you don't ask for help, you're not going to get it. And there's nothing wrong asking for help. Or if you've got a block, collaborate with another creative professional. And, if they give you some advice or concepts, thank them. You might not use them, but what that's doing is it's greasing those wheels for you to get your mind moving. When I have a creative block, the best thing I can do besides the 80-20 is just put everything down and go for a walk outside.
Yep.
When you engage in mindless activity, it allows your mind to just mull things over. And, with usually at about 1.5 miles, I'm like, oh, I know what I'm going to be doing. And I grab my phone and I just type little messages, and I was like, I'll come back to that later, but now let's mull some of this over again.
I think that's great. I think that's great. Dean, is there anything else that we haven't said or talked about that any other message, any last message to students that are loving life and loving our beautiful industry that we're in, and want to go further, deeper? Is there any last thing, or have we exhausted your
No, I'm never exhausted.
Okay, I probably knew that.
Well, the thing too is, and when you talk to students, they get really overwhelmed, and it's heavy, because when we first start out, it's tough to understand how to kind of work your way through the industry. But when all is said and done, when you are kind and gracious and you acknowledge and you listen, so many great things are going to happen. And just give it time. You're not going to be an overnight success. No one is. No one ever is. And when in doubt, ask questions. And I love the beauty industry because there are so many opportunities. There's enough for everyone. And I always, but you're in LA. And I go, I was born and raised on a farm in Iowa. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, Dean, this has been delightful. I know that what I told everyone, we're cutting these interviews down to a half hour, but guess what? It wasn't possible. I think I told you it'd be a half hour, but it's been delightful. I
love it.
think that you follow exactly what you say. You're kind and you're gracious, and you're honest, and I really, really appreciate our time together. So I can't wait to get this edited and get it out to the students. So thank you so much for spending time with me today.
I appreciate the opportunity. It's really awesome.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you.